Bhagavate Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriya Nashtiprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Prabhupada Lilamrita by Srila Das Goswami. So chapter 51st, Prabhupada is in Mumbai. On returning to the ISKCON property, yes, he was gone for the morning walk on the beach, and when he came back, Srila Prabhupada came before the deities and beheld once again the charming beauty that made him sometimes indicate that of all deities, these were the dearest to him. His promise to Raja Rasvihari that he would build them a beautiful temple was soon to become a living reality, but he sometimes expressed doubt as to whether he would live to see it. He was now 81 and was bothered by certain persistent illnesses. Of course, the warnings of death were nothing new to Srila Prabhupada, as he had serious bouts with illness from the beginning of his preaching in the West in 1965. Yet, despite his frequent remarks about retiring, his disciples found it difficult to imagine. Yes, they should by all means complete the work as soon as possible and open the Bombay temple. And yes, they should assure Prabhupada that he could retire and eventually complete his Srimad Bhagavatam. So the devotees were feeling the time is coming, and well, Prabhupada's heartfelt desire was to complete Bhagavatam purports and see the opening of Bombay temple. But of course, Krishna would allow him to remain with them and see the completion of at least these two projects. Each month, one of Srila Prabhupada's GBC men stayed with him to serve as a secretary and to receive direct training and personal association. The secretary for January 1977 was Rameshwar Swami. Prabhupada was genuinely pleased and enlivened when, early in the morning, Rameshwar entered his room, having flown straight from Los Angeles to Bombay. Prabhupada considered Rameshwar an expert ISKCON manager, especially in printing and distributing Krishna conscious literature, which was Prabhupada's priority in preaching. Rameshwar Swami inquired as a humble servant before his spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada, he said, "You look well. Are you feeling well?" Srila Prabhupada laughed. At the present moment, I am feeling well because you are here. So that was Prabhupada's way of greeting Rameshwar Maharaj. Within moments, they were discussing ISKCON preaching and management. And Prabhupada advised Rameshwar that the best policy was to use money for printing more books. As soon as money accumulated, Prabhupada warned, it would be taxed and would cause headaches. Better to immediately spend it for printing books. So, as a charitable organization, yes, still money could be taxed because there are different avenues. Government wants money. So, Prabhupada was just immediately spend it and distribute books and print books. Print books and sell and spend, said Srila Prabhupada. Follow this policy and distribute these books. That is our main preaching. Somehow or other, we must take our books door to door and distribute. Then our preaching is successful. Anyone who will read will get some benefit, that is sure, because no other such literature is available throughout the whole world. It's a new revolution to the people in general. And this is for sure, as Prabhupada said, no other literature is available throughout the whole world that can really bring about change in people's lives. When Srila Prabhupada asked for news of ISKCON's activities in the West, Rameshwar gave the latest details of how the Krishna consciousness movement in America was being attacked in the courts and press as a psychologically dangerous, brainwashing cult. Srila Prabhupada was already aware of this. It was, in fact, the conspiracy he had referred to on his morning walk. An anti-cult movement was now aggressively active in lumping the Hare Krishna movement in with other new movements. Srila Prabhupada was well aware of the deprogrammers, kidnapping of devotees, and intensively coercing them, and he had shown that he was not intimidated by the attack. He assured the devotees that Krishna would protect them and that the outcome would ultimately be in their favor. See, now the attacks were happening. In America, they were getting afraid of the growing popularity of ISKCON. And so many youngsters, they were joining. Once Prabhupada was in the flight, and one father from a church was there with him. And the father said, "How do you preach to these youngsters? I mean, they are leaving everything and they're joining you. And here we haven't been able to even bring them to the church regularly." And Prabhupada said, I just preach the pure message, that's all. But it was becoming, see, when somebody is successful, then he becomes a problem for the general society, for the people. Envious people are always there, but if you're not successful, they don't bother. So if somebody is somebody or some organization, so some people are against ISKCON, means ISKCON was getting success. And with temples opening, devotees joining, and devotees doing Sankirtan on the streets, doing book distribution, so many books being distributed, yes, people do notice, and then the problems start. But as Prabhupada said, he assured that Krishna would protect them and that the outcome would ultimately be in their favor. The most significant battle, one that had concerned Srila Prabhupada for several months, was a legal case in New York, where the temple president, Adikesha Swami, was being charged with employing mind control to keep the devotees in the temple. I mean, lawyers can come up with all sorts of nonsense court cases, and then let the defendant prove that he is innocent. The parents of two adult devotees had pressed charges after hired deprogrammers had failed to break the two devotees' determination for Krishna consciousness. In a spirit of anti-cult crusade, an assistant attorney general was prosecuting using all legal and governmental facilities at his disposal. Although civil libertarians were outraged and assured the devotees that the opposition could never win. The implications of the case were fearful nevertheless. The case challenged the very right of the Hare Krishna movement to exist as a bona fide religion and challenged the right of adult devotees to remain in the movement against the wishes of their parents. Also at issue was whether members of the Hare Krishna movement were members by their own choosing or being kept in the movement by psychological manipulation, which is called brainwashing. When Srila Prabhupada had first heard of this case, his reply in a letter from Vrindavan had been like a clarion call to battle against the forces of illusion. So he wanted all his devotees to go full strength and fight against this court case. Regarding the point about whether our movement is bona fide, you can use the following arguments. Bhagavad Gita has got so many editions. Our books are older than the Bible. In India, there are millions of Krishna temples. Let the judges and juries read our books and take the opinion of learned scholars and professors. Regarding the second point about the parents' jurisdiction over the children, there are some suggestions. Do the parents like that their children become happies or hippies? Do the parents like that their children become hippies? Why don't they stop it? Do the parents like the children to become involved in prostitution and intoxication? Why don't they stop this? So the point was, I mean, ISKCON devotees, they were not taking drugs or engaged in prostitution or anything illegal. So what was parents' concern? They are now feeling the weight of this moment. Formerly they thought these people come and go, but now they see we are staying. Now we have set fire. It will go on. It cannot be stopped. You can bring big fire brigades, but the fire will act. The brainwash books are already there. Even if they stop externally, internally it will go on. Our first class campaign is book distribution. Go house to house. The real fighting is now. Krishna will give you all protection. So chant Hare Krishna and fight. So Krishna will give protection because devotees were working for Krishna's purpose. He is working to serve Krishna. Not that we do anything nonsense and we think Krishna will give us all protection. No, because this was Krishna's movement and devotees were serving. So Krishna will give all protection, that's for sure. But yes, Prabhupada had to tax his brains and devotees had to work together to fight these court cases. It's not that we can sit in the temple and chant Hare Krishna and Krishna will come and protect. We don't have to do anything. Just like Prabhupada once said that after Krishna spoke the message of Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, Arjun did not say, "Oh Krishna, you have killed everybody, so you go on killing. I'll just sit on the chariot." And Prabhupada used the word smoke ganja because he was preaching to hippies. And Krishna also didn't tell Arjun, "Okay, Arjun, I'm going to kill all these warriors, so you just sit down in the chariot and smoke ganja." No, Arjun had to do his duty. He had to fight and fight very vigorously. But Krishna's protection and Krishna's assurance of victory was always there. But still Arjun had to do his duty. So similarly, we have to do our duty, depending upon Krishna's mercy, yes. And being Krishna conscious that Krishna will give all protection, Krishna will assure victory, and this is for the service of Krishna. And I'm doing it. So whatever the result is, that is in Krishna's hands. So that this is how devotees understood and they fought these court cases. Sitting with Srila Prabhupada in Bombay, Rameshwar Swami informed him that a nationwide committee of professors and theologians had come to the defense of Krishna consciousness in the New York case, and that many lawyers and psychologists were sympathetic. It is so much mercy from Krishna, said Srila Prabhupada. Krishna wanted all these things to happen. Krishna himself became important when he killed so many demons, not simply by lying down in the lap of Mother Yashoda. When he was on the lap of Mother Yashoda, from that day he began to kill. Therefore, Krishna established that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even Krishna was not exempted. What to speak of us? Prahlad Maharaj was not exempted. As soon as you speak of God, this opposition will come. Jesus Christ was crucified. They are so kind that they have not crucified me or my men. But you have to expect all these things. Nityanand Prabhu was personally injured. Haridas Thakur was beaten up in 22 bazars. This task is like that. So it always happens. And whether it happens inside the society or outside, it will always happen with the people who are successful. But as Prabhupada said, we have to go on. Not only here, later, when I was in Delhi temple, there was court case in Russia by the Orthodox Church because they saw in Russia also ISKCON was getting very popular. So they wanted to ban Bhagavad Gita because if one Bhagavad Gita is banned, then the whole society can be banned because this is the basis of our society. So the court case was to ban Bhagavad Gita. They said it's not a moral literature because it prophecy. I mean, it tells people to fight. So then there was so much of resistance from the devotees and from India also, from political connections. Yeah. I think it went all the way to the President of India and he spoke. Either he spoke or something happened and uh, or no, I don't think Modi ji was there at that time. It was before 2014. So somehow the message was sent, Bhagavad Gita is our scripture and it's been there for thousands and thousands of years. And copies of Russian Bhagavad Gitas were sent to President Putin. And then the case was taken back. I think the ambassador of India also got involved in Russia. So, so the opposition will always be there. And as Prabhupada explained, Jesus Christ was crucified for speaking about the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj, Nityanand Prabhu, Haridas Thakur. It's like it's nothing new. It will always happen. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preaching, taking out Sankirtan, even Chand Kazi tried to stop Sankirtan. He broke Mridanga. Of course, then conversation happened between him and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then he took back his orders. But the opposition is always there. They're getting everyone in America to ask a question. What is Hare Krishna? Said Rameshwar. That is our gain, said Srila Prabhupada. They're chanting Hare Krishna. We still have to work very hard to defeat them, Rameshwar added. Oh yes, said Prabhupada. That is necessary. You don't sleep. Never did Krishna say to Arjun, I'm a friend, I'm God, you sleep here, I'll do everything. No, you must fight. That is wanted. Krishna said, you fight and remember me, then I'll do everything. This is an opportunity of remembering Krishna always. So, yes, Krishna always puts these kinds of obstacles in devotees' lives. So they surrender, they remember him always. And ultimately, Krishna will help. He does help. Prabhupada explained that the greatest shock for the materialists was that the Krishna consciousness movement strongly opposed illicit sex, meat eating, and intoxication. To them, for a person to give up these things was so shocking that they could not accept it was happening because of a genuine spiritual experience. Referring to a previous case, Prabhupada said, in Germany, they also accuse that the old man is sitting in Los Angeles and he has engaged all these boys in collecting money for him. They are thinking that way, that I have some mind control power and have engaged these men. They're getting the money and I'm enjoying. Because this is what a common man would do. Just get money by controlling people and enjoy that money. But this is not what Prabhupada was doing. Srila Prabhupada recalled how as early as 1969, when his temple in Los Angeles had purchased a few cars and the number of devotees had begun increasing, the neighbors had become envious. Prabhupada said that he had invited them to also come and live in the Krishna consciousness community, but that their reply had always been no. Prabhupada said that the more the opposition created turmoil, the more Krishna consciousness would become famous. He also reasoned that people were reacting to his very strong preaching. But the opposition was there big time. I condemn everyone, he said, that they are all dogs and hogs. And the United Nations I call a pack of barking dogs. It's a fact. And then in Chicago, I said, all women, you cannot have freedom. So I became a subject of great criticism. Srila Prabhupada concluded his meeting with Rameshwar by saying that the devotees should be very alert and intelligently defend the Krishna consciousness movement. But they should also understand that a higher principle was operating. This opposition indicated the genuineness of his ISKCON. Even Krishna himself was sometimes the center of calamitous activities, such as when he fought with Kaliya and other enemies, or when, as an infant, he fell into the Yamuna river. This is the beauty of Vrindavan, said Prabhupada. When Krishna entered the Yamuna to fight with Kali, it was not at all good news for Mother Yashoda, Nanda, the friends and family. Not at all. The life was lost, but still Krishna was the center. This is Vrindavan. In everything, Krishna is in the center. So our situation is just like that. They're making bad propaganda against Krishna. This is the opposition. But I'm happy that Krishna is the center. That's all. This is the beauty of this movement. Although we are put into some difficulty, yet the center is Krishna. So this was Prabhupada's mode. Always Krishna conscious, always thinking of serving Krishna, uh, how to make society bigger, how to preach vigorously, and even using this court case to how to expand the glories of Krishna. This was always his mode. Srila Prabhupada wanted to travel with a group of his devotees by train to Allahabad. But when a devotee went to buy tickets, he discovered that all seats had long been purchased. There was no chance of making reservation for Allahabad, so close to Kumbh Mela. One of Srila Prabhupada's Bombay friends, however, a Mr. Gupta, held a high position with the Central Railway of India, and at Prabhupada's request arranged for a special private car on a train to Allahabad, exclusively for Prabhupada and his disciples. Krishna can do miracles. This private car they added in the train just for Prabhupada and his disciples. Early on the morning of January 11th, Srila Prabhupada embarked on the 24-hour plus train ride from Bombay to Allahabad. He was sharing his first-class compartment with Rameshwar Swami, Jagdish and Harishori. And even as the train pulled out of the station, Prabhupada was preaching. Okay, so the topic will change. So I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all are safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai